Coach, coming off the two big wins, just how do you reset and move forward with UCF coming up?
Yeah, day at a time, right? They're two. We held serve at home, took care of business. It was a great weekend for or whatever Saturday, Monday for us, and our guys have had a couple days here to kind of recharge, so to speak, and back at it now. And we got to finish with a flourish. We have starting Sunday 4 games in 12 days, so we got a lot in front of us, and four very different types of teams. So. Back at it. Have to have great practices, really lock in, just keep getting better, have the same mentality that we've had.
Obviously, two different games, but looking back, what was kind of the biggest reason for the home sweep, in your opinion?
At the end of the day, I just thought we really defended very, very hard, and we rebounded very well. I mean, I think it's a combination of those two things. Each game was a little bit different. The free throw shooting against Kansas State certainly helped. But at the end of the day, I thought we defended at the level that you needed to defend to have success in the Big 12, and we rebounded at a level that you have to have success in the Big 12. And if we can do those things on a consistent basis, we'll have an opportunity to win night in and night out.
I know you've talked about home court advantage the last, a couple times this season. Both Bill Self and Jerome Tang were very complimentary of the environment here in Salt Lake. How is that? I know as a coach, that doesn't cross your mind very often, but to hear other visiting coaches that have never been here before be so complimentary of this environment, how does that make you feel about this fan base?
Yeah, well, twofold. It doesn't cross my mind what they say, but it does cross my mind consistently having a home court advantage because it's a real thing. And it's easy to see, it's easy to feel being on the road at various Big 12 environments. They all have a little different feel to them, but I don't know that we've had one poorly attended game, maybe one average attended game that we've experienced as a road opponent. So it's a great thing. I thought our crowds were good. The Kansas game, I thought it was a great crowd. Of course, they travel well as well, but certainly you could feel it. It was a real – and then the K-State game, I'm not sure if we had – I'm guessing the attendance was a little bit lower for that game compared to Kansas, but I thought you could really feel our fan base on that night. They've voiced their displeasure at certain things that are out of our control, and I thought they really, when it seemed like they were getting some momentum, I love that our fan base really tried to dive in there and will our guys, right? And I think that's one of the things I think that great fan bases do. So it was awesome to not only see, but more importantly, feel. And I'm quite certain our guys felt that, and it's pretty cool, when you have opponent coaches saying that, it can't hurt.
In the two games, you rebounded really, really well. Probably the best you've rebounded, particularly on the offensive glass. Was there a change in terms of what you emphasized in practice? What led to that?
No. This has been going on from day one with this team. You got to rebound in this league. You got to rebound, period. I just, last year we weren't a great rebounding team. It drove me crazy. It's one of the things that really gets, quite frankly, under my skin is my teams have always rebounded at a high level. Year two, we rebounded really, really well here. We were really good defensively. But this team has been pretty good on the offensive glass most of the year. Lately, certainly. It went to a different level this weekend for whatever reason. Maybe they're figuring it out, how hard you have to compete in this league to have a chance. But at the end of the day, I would say a big part of why we lost those two games at West Virginia and Cincinnati was rebounding, especially the defensive rebounding, where, late in that game, we've talked like the Cincinnati game, tie game, two great defensive possessions just went to waste because we don't box out, right? And the ball goes flying right over us. So sometimes that has maybe sometimes when you see that on film, it kind of has a crystallizing way of saying this impacts winning in a direct way, and you got to do it, And so our guys, I thought, were relentless on the glass, and it's just kind of how we have to win. I feel like the way our team, in some respects, the way our team is constructed, but that's one thing that travels. Defense and rebounding travels, and so that has to be our mantra, and that has to be a thing that we can go to.
As you gear up for the stretch run, what are the biggest things you feel like this team needs to improve on?
Consistency, you know what I mean? It was great to do what we did. I mean, you could see us, like I've alluded to a couple times now, at West Virginia and at Cincinnati. You could really see some things coming into place. It didn't show where it counted, but obviously it did this past weekend. And let's show like build an identity. You know what I mean? Have consistency. Understand what we're trying to do, and no matter who we play, no matter what style we go against, no matter what their strengths and weaknesses are, understanding the things that we can do on a day-to-day basis, and then go do them. And so I'm not sure that's exactly what you're looking for, but that's what I feel like we need is consistency and sustained success, and understanding from a personnel standpoint, what can we get? What are we going to get out of you every day? What are we going to get out of you every day? What are we going to get out of, right? And then when we do that, then our team will have that. And so we have to keep defending and rebounding, and we have to take care of the ball. It's just become very clear with this team. Those are the things we need to do.
Momentum is a big thing in this sport, and
Yeah.
you're coming off of 2 massive wins at home. How can that momentum, kind of help you guys as you go down this stretch?
Momentum is a real thing. At the same time, it's the old that you play 2 games in 3 days and you win. You just want to keep playing, and then of course you have the week off. So it's or not a week off, but you know what I mean. It's 6 days between games, which for this time of year feels like an eternity. So we got to find out how we respond here with that and keep going. I've just taken the approach. And I traditionally try to do this, and it's not the answer you want to hear, but you truly got to take it day by day. Let's keep fine-tuning. You get to this time of year, I mean, we're 75% done with league play. So with 5 games left, I mean, in the regular season, you just got to keep fine-tuning, find ways to get better. We've done a few different things going into this weekend that was a little bit different, specifically with the game plan with Kansas, that I thought really, really helped us. And so it's constantly kind of tweaking and going and see who's playing well and who's still fighting. You know what I mean? Like to be better. And our team has been really, really good in that respect. Sometimes you get to February, mid-February, and but our guys have been really a galvanized group, and guys show up every day in practice ready to go. So, I'm just more worried about the process, quite frankly. How are we doing things? Are we making winning plays? Are we playing disciplined basketball? Are we continually climbing the ladder, so to speak, in terms of understanding what we're trying to accomplish? And that's been a big thing this year. It's probably taken a little longer than some years just because I think so much newness, like I've alluded to in the past, with 10 new players and 7 new staff members. So hopefully we can seize this momentum and keep pushing forward.
Coach, we talk so much about the players and how they've progressed and what they've learned.
Yeah.
What have you learned as you've gotten into the Big 12, and how have you progressed as a head coach?
Yeah, it's a great question. I've thought about that a lot more than you probably realize. I've learned a lot about myself this year. There's just been a lot, and that's a good thing. It's been invigorating. It's been exciting. You dive in. The circumstances haven't always been easy or exactly what you're looking for, but you have to embrace it, right? You can't run it. I've always been a guy that's going to run to the fight, and you have to embrace, change and tough times, and you got to dig in, right? And you got to find a way. You got to go get in there and compete hard, and that part's not new, but certainly there's been a lot. It's been a whirlwind the last 10, 11 months. It's just it's the reality of it, right? And it's a big boy business. And so, but the league is different. That's been really invigorating. It's been awesome. I mean, like even on Wednesday, I don't always sleep well the night after games, even when we win. It's weird. And so I didn't get much sleep that night. And I was up at 4:30. I couldn't wait to watch Central Florida. And it's just fun to watch. It's not fun. Fun can come off the wrong way. It's fun. It's exciting. You dig in, you learn about new opponents, you learn about new brands of basketball, you see them on their home court, right, and what that looks like. So that part's been really, really invigorating. It's a little bit different brand of basketball, so that's been new. You learn different things, and how teams play you, and then how do you counteract that with our team, because our team's different than most teams, so you got to always – the chess piece has been really exciting. And then with all these new coaches as well, and we have a great mix of young and old and inexperienced and experienced. But what I love about these guys, that like they're just all in, man. Like there's no ego. We all have some ego. Like let's be real, everybody has a little ego, but these guys are just selfless and they're just all about the players and our staff, and it's just such a tight knit group. And we learn from each other, and at the same time, they're learn from what I want, so to speak, whether it's recruiting or our style of play or our expectations or, holding people accountable or whatever it might be. So I'm not sure I have an exact answer at this exact point, but I've certainly learned a lot about myself, and I've certainly learned what I think you got to have to be successful in this league. Like I'm very confident that part of it, right, as we progress into the future, because it's different. It's a different league. It's different than even the Big Ten when I was there. And so every night's just a rock fight, and it's awesome. Like, it's just such a physical brand of basketball. It's not always pretty. You know what I mean? But it's Big 12 basketball. I mean, you just turn on a game, and it's just like a dog fight. I mean, it's so competitive, and these teams are so good defensively, especially at the top.
With the kind of extended break, how does that help your preparation for UCF, and what stands out about their team?
Excuse me. With this little bit of a day and a half extra break, or 2 days, I guess, depending on how you look at it, maybe a day and a half. It's let's get our bodies right, physically, mentally. Certainly getting ready for UCF, but also when you have 4 games in 12 days, and 2 of them are at Orlando, at Tucson. I mean, there's a lot of it's going to be go, 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 and very little prep. So UCF though. Man, the first game I watched of them was against Kansas at Kansas, and I think they lost 91-87. It's an unbelievable game. These guys are uber talented. They have a lot of guys that can really go get a basket, and dynamic. They just have a lot of dynamic playmakers to them, and on any given night, there's 3 or 4 guys that could just take over a game. The Hall kid, Keyshawn Hall, is a lefty, can score at all 3 levels. He's had, I think he had 40 against Arizona State. Last night he had 36. Who else did I watch? BYU, I think it was. He had 32. No, it wasn't that game. Another game he had 32, a different game that I watched. And so he's a guy that just can really, really get it going. Darius Johnson's a playmaking point guard that can really, really score the ball. Scores at all 3 levels as well. So they have great length. Great athleticism, a lot of guys that can take over a game. And then there's center, who did not play last night, Thiam, Thiam, is a freshman, and he's on a ton of NBA. I mean, he'll probably be a draft pick here soon. I don't know if it'll be this year, but it will be soon, because this guy's a 7-footer that elite rim protector, shoots threes, like he can do it all, really athletic. So, I know they're not. Yeah, the results haven't spoke to what they want to be, but they have a lot of guys that can make plays on their team.
Basketball is one of those sports where you steadily climb the mountain and you're hoping to peak at the right time. From at least my vantage point and other people's, do you think your team is on that upward climb to possibly peaking at the right time?
Yeah, it's hard to say. You always hope is a, what do they say in Shawshank Redemption? Hope is a dangerous thing. But I've been doing this a long time, right? And so when you do it as long as I have, and I've been very fortunate to be on a lot of really good teams. Some years you can have great teams, but you're only playing good at the end, right? And then I've had a lot of teams that have been good teams, and we've played great late. And I'd always rather be a good team playing great, late in the year. And who knows what our future holds.
Coach, your comments just a little bit ago, and then something you said after the Kansas win where you talked about being consistent in the locker room with your players. It reminded me of a book I read, You Win in the Locker Room. And in that it talks about being aligned from the top down. And I'd be curious, just how do you feel about where your program is at and the alignment from the top down to the players and just where you're at as you're starting to finally
Yeah, I feel like we're aligned. We have a lot of guys, and I've said this before, but we have a lot of guys that have never won I mean, and that's not enough. It is what it. So like, I haven't, as a head coach, like you think a lot about, especially in the off season, you think about a lot of things, and one of the things that I was very, very fortunate as a young coach, right? As a GA, my first year in college basketball, we won the conference championship, won the tournament championship. My second year as a GA, we got to the Elite Eight. Beat the number one team in the country to get to the Elite Eight, and then my next 3 years as an assistant coach, our team was not good, and then I went to another team that was good, and so everywhere I've been, we've won, and won at a high level, and so I was fortunate as a young coach to see really what it looks like, and feel that and understand that and know what it's about, and as you got older, I was 31, my first head coaching job, and I took over a program that had won one game. They were 1-27 the year before, and so we went out and we were trying to be Vince Lombardi or Jim Valvano or whoever, and we were able to get to the national tournament. We recruited a bunch of hungry guys and tough guys, and found a way to make it happen. And 2 years later, we're playing in the national championship game, and so I was really fortunate in that. I think I understand winning and what it takes. And I think our guys are really figuring it out, but you got to go through the rigors of it. And then when you get into this league, you really find out if you don't do this, this, and this, you have no shot. Like, it's just blatantly obvious, right? And so I think our guys are really the last, 5 games for sure, kind of just digging in, and I feel like we're kind of turning in the right direction. That we'll see where that goes. Nobody knows. Nobody has a crystal ball, but from the coaching staff to the players, I think we're in a really there's a really good alignment that way. And Gabe's making some shots again, and I'm not trying to put it on, but that in January, that's part of the game is you got to be able to make shots. So that's really helped us. And Ezra's really starting to figure some things out. Jake and KD are really figuring some things out. We're getting a little more consistency, I think, out of Mike and Miro, at the point guard spot. So I think they're seeing it now. I think they're seeing if we do these things, we'll have a chance. Doesn't mean you're going to win, but you'll have a chance. Thank you, guys.